Hey guys, what's going on? This is Kevin Muller. I am from Cinephellas and I am the movie guy, and I'm here to tell you the best films, 10 of the best films I saw in 2021. Let's get started. Okay, the first one is Candyman, number 10. I absolutely love this kind of rebirth of intellectual horror that's going on, thanks to Mr. Jordan Peele. In this film, he wrote it, he didn't direct it, but you can feel that same kind of energy that Get Out had and Us, and hopefully, the upcoming Nope has it too. But anyway, the director of this movie, Nia DaCosta, who will be directing The Marvels, starring Brie Larson, and the star of this movie, Tiana Paris, just gets it. She gets to make a very effective horror movie. You have to go beyond the violence and the blood. And let me get you something straight. There is blood in this movie and there is gore, but there's more, and it's done in such an artistic way. The sound design, the cinematography, everything here is fantastic, and it has so much style. First of all, it doesn't disrespect the 1992 original. It kind of adds on to it. It goes back to it, but it's its own story. It's just a really good movie. It was I think it was the first movie of 2021 I actually kind of really dug, and definitely go see it. Check it out. Number 9 is Benedetta. This is Paul Verhoeven's religious movie. You might have heard of it, called the Lesbian Nun movie. And there is woman on woman sex. The two stars of the film are easy on the eyes, but they're also very good actresses, and they do provide very good performances in this very whacked out version. One of the scenes of this movie is Jesus dressed as like a Rambo type character, gunning down evil projections in the title character Benedetta's dreams. It's that's pretty crazy. That's the extent of this movie, and it's fantastic. It's really, it has something to say. He tried to make this movie for I think like 20 to 30 years. No American studio would touch it, which doesn't surprise me. It is blasphemous for those who were really into religion. I grew up Roman Catholic. I wasn't really offended. I thought it was really interesting what he did with this movie. It shows religion can be used as good, but it also could be used as a weapon of evil by those in power. And you get to see a lot of that in this movie, and you get to see a lot of crazy imagery. I won't discuss it here because it's nuts. It's like there's one part with a cross. I'm not gonna repeat it here because I want you to see it because your jaw will drop, but takes risks, and that's why it's number 9. Number 8, we got Shiva Baby. So Shiva, for those of you who are not Jewish, I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood with a lot of Jewish friends, is a ceremony that you honor the dead by going to the deceased's house, bringing food, company, anything. I think it's, if I remember, I haven't been to one in a while, thank God. I think it's a day or two. You just take care of the family of the deceased. And in this movie, we got Rachel Sennott, who will be in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Check out the trailer if you haven't seen it, later this year. And she is a young Jewish girl who is completely over the place. Her life is in shambles. She's going to a place where there are a lot of successful young Jewish women and men around her age. And her family's like, come on, you got to get your life together. And to top it all off, she's having an affair with one of the guys at the Shiva, who is married to her, what seems longtime nemesis, played by Glee's Diana Agron, who does pretty nice work here. Nothing crazy, but she keeps up with Sennott, who is incredible. A very, very good performance. Very interested to see what she does in the future. It's just an overall strong little independent film. It's on HBO Max. Definitely, give it a shot. It's short too. It's like an hour and 20 minutes with that. So, give it a swing. You won't be disappointed. Number 7 is Mitchell versus the Machines. And I absolutely love this film. It's my favorite film from last year that was in the animated category. It's by Netflix. Netflix released it, and it's, on the surface, it's a robot invasion movie. What happens if all this technology just basically turned against us and, try controlling humanity? But on the emotional surface and the story and the character development, you got a family whose father, played by Danny McBride, is doing the drama just as well as the comedy. And we have Abby Jacobson, for those of you who watch Disenchantment on Netflix. She plays the daughter. And they're just basically spending the last couple of weeks together as a family. You know, there are the mother and son are there too, but it's mostly their arc that we follow, and they're trying to get along. They're trying to recapture the magic they had as, you know, when the main character, the girl, was a little younger, and then they get thrown into this battle between machines and humans. The animation is reminiscent of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's great what they do. It's very, very creative. It's very beautiful on the eyes. I kind of wish I saw this in the theaters. I saw it on Netflix. I watched it at home, and it's a good family movie. It has a lot of heart, and I recommend it. You know, show it to anyone, your nephew, niece, hey, friend your age. It's a great time, and I really liked it. NumberSix, which is Coda, which won the Oscar for Best Picture this year. I won the Dune, but I wasn't disappointed that this movie won. It's a independent movie. It premiered at Sundance last year. Basically built traction up, and they bought it. Became a success with audiences, and obviously won Best Picture. It's the story of a girl played by Amelia Jones. Some of you may know her from Lock and Key. She is a young girl who is the only member of her family, which consists of a brother and a mother and father, that has hearing. The others are deaf, and CODA is an acronym for Child of Deaf Adults. They run a fishing company, and she's the only one who can actually communicate with those who are not familiar with the sign language. The film actually disables the option to take the subtitles off, which I thought was a really, really good way of honoring the deaf community. This movie is very, very respectful of the deaf community. It's something that will probably shown in, you know, sign language classes and anything connected to that community. Well, she basically wants to sing. She's a very talented singer, and there's a section in the movie at the end where she sings. And Mila Jones, I don't know why she wasn't nominated for Best Actress. She is incredible. She signed. She learned to sign before the movie. She sings. And then, you know, the conflict comes like, okay, do I stay here and help my family because they're relying on me, or do I chase my own dreams? And she hooks up with her. She links up, I should say, not hooks up. She links up with her music teacher, and the music teacher basically brings her out of her shell and gets her an audition in a college. And that's, you know, the family is, you know, a little upset. That's what the conflict is, but it doesn't get too melodramatic. And another thing I liked about this movie is, yes, they're deaf people, but they're not treated with pity or, oh my God, it's sad. No, they're normal people just like you and me, and they have normal problems, marriage problems, child problems. It's all handled quite well. And, you know, I just can't recommend this movie, you know, any further without spoiling it, but definitely check it out. It's deserving of the Best Picture. Even though I wanted Dune, I'm not mad at this one. Number 5 is Red Rocket. Now, Red Rocket is by Sean Baker, and Sean Baker, you have to have an acquired taste. He did Tangerine, and he did the Florida Project 2 years ago with William Dafoe. His whole thing is he takes the drudges or the undesirables of society or people who are morally bankrupt, and he gives them emotional weight, and he brings you into their world. It's not always pretty, but it's truthful and raw. While Tangerine, I didn't see Tangerine, and the Flower Project, a little more dramatic. Red Rocket is more of a comedy. Simon Rex, he plays Mikey Saber. He comes back to his rural, very poor Texas town. He used to be a porn star. He ran away from home, and he left everyone behind. And he wants to start over. And in the beginning, you're kind of rooting for this guy. But as the movie progresses, you see this, and you see evidence of, okay, I understand why he lost everything. He's irresponsible. He's impulsive. He makes terrible choices. He's a manipulator. He's not a good person, but, you know, Simon Rex makes him so goddamn charming. Like, why do you got to be like this? Because you have a great personality. And, you know, he gets into hilarious events. Some of the guys on the Cinephellas website, they reviewed this and they were kind of skeeved out by it. And I don't blame them. You know, I don't blame them. As I said, he is a morally bankrupt character, especially when he meets a young girl who's 17 years old, a few weeks away from her 18th birthday. And his whole plan is to basically bring her to Hollywood and make her the next porn star. So it is seedy. It is seedy, but once again, with Baker, he's doing it truthful. There's no bullshit. And with Simon Rex, it's so charming, and this this movie is a big advertisement for the NSYNC song "Bye Bye Bye." It's used very cleverly throughout the movie, and check it out. But it's not a comfortable watch. I'm not going to say this is for anyone, and people may kind of be like, "Why did he put this at 5?" But I personally thought it was extremely, extremely good and very truthful. Number 4 is Licorice Pizza. It's Paul Thomas Anderson, man. Paul Thomas Anderson is great. He once again hits out of the park with the story of his childhood. We got a lot of him and the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, Cooper Hoffman, both first-time actors on the big screen. Both do an incredible job. They are two characters. Alana is 25, and Cooper Hoffman's Gary is 16. So yeah, he's 16 or 17. He's underage, and he takes a liking to her because she takes pictures at his school for the yearbook, and they start talking, and he's much more mature. He's a child actor, so he's been around adults of his own life, and he comes off, artificial, but he is very streetwise, whereas she is very kind of naive and stupid, and she based upon a piece of dialogue in the movie, she clings on to any guy who promises to get her out of her situation, which basically means moving out of her house, away from her family. So she takes a liking to him because they start become business partners. But as Quentin Tarantino's movie from 2019, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there's really not a story. Yes, you could say the story is like they try making money. It's just a time captured on the big screen, and specifically the 70s. Now, the music, the cinematography, the costumes, everything made me feel like I was watching a movie from the 70s and not 2022. Paul Thomas Anderson knocks it out of the park. He's an incredible director. I love everything he does. I can't wait for his next project. This is a very funny movie. I laughed very hard at certain points of it, but it's also very real. You meet a lot of characters, and each of those characters make their impact. If some of these characters leave the screen and have limited screen time, but they're memorable, and that's not an easy thing to do. That's the credit to Paul Thomas Anderson and all the actors who he basically put into these scenes. And it looks so easy, but it's very hard. It's very hard, but it's Paul Thomas Anderson. He's great, and definitely check out Licorice Pizza. I think it's free on Apple if you have a description, but you can pay for it. It's definitely worth the rental price. Now, The Green Knight is number 3, David Lowery. It's his fantasy epic based on the poem Sir Gawain and The Green Knight. This movie is filmed in a very realistic manner, but he infuses the fantastical elements very, very well. It feels like it feels like this happened. And the direction is fantastic. Dev Patel plays the lead, and he's awesome. I can't wait for this guy to keep blowing up. He's great in Slumdog Millionaire. He was great in Line. He's great in this. The Green Knight is beautifully played. I forgot who played it, but the makeup on him is great, and it's just a very, very well made movie. And it's more. He had more money making this movie, but it wasn't something like Marvel. But what he got, he made a lot a lot from it. There's clever tricks that he does to make things hit harder, and I loved it. I think it's one of the best movies of the year, obviously, because it's number 3. Now, the number 2 is Dune, Denis Villeneuve's long-awaited adaptation of the classic sci-fi novel. Timothée Chalamet plays Paul Atreides. Obviously, Chalamet's a great actor. He's great here as a young prince thrown into the midst of war, betrayal, and him trying to find out who he is in the amongst of it. The cast is stacked. You have Oscar Isaac, you have Rebecca Ferguson, Zendaya, Jason Momoa, Josh Brolin. I can go on. There's so much, but the one performance I loved in this movie was Stellan Skarsgård as the villain. Put him in a fat suit, and he was just very menacing, and he was fantastic. And the sound design, this movie swept the Oscars for technical, and you can see why. Like, I saw this on IMAX and my phone. Seeing this on IMAX was an experience. The sound, the cinematography, a lot of IMAX shots. The movie was just as good on my phone, but it doesn't top seeing it on the big screen. So if you have a friend with a big flat screen television and a hell of a sound system, say, hey, let's check out Dune. Pretty good movie. I can't wait for part two. I know Florence Pugh is in it, and I forgot the guy's name. He's playing Elvis in the new Elvis movie come out in June, but he's also in it. And it's going to conclude the story, but also we're getting an HBO Max series based upon the women in the movie, because the women in this who kind of are the powerful people in society, Rebecca Ferguson plays one of them. They're great. And the audio trickery that Villeneuve does with their voices tops it off and how good this movie was. And I just loved it. It's something we need more of. We need more grand sci-fi epics that are not comic books. But yeah, so number one. So last year I chose Nomadland as my favorite film of 2020. Now I'm going to do a full review on this movie. I have to. I got to, because I can talk about this movie for 20 minutes, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm on a time limit. The best picture of the year, according to my opinion, is The Last Duel. Now, The Last Duel was one of two movies that Ridley Scott directed this year. He directed House of Gucci, which was the one being pushed for the awards. Now, House of Gucci, I liked it. I heard it was terrible, but it's a good movie. I liked it. It was decent, but it doesn't hold a candle to The Last Duel. This is a movie that flopped. This is a movie that no one saw, and this is why we can't have nice things. God damn it. No, but in all seriousness, everything here is great. For you guys who don't know, I won't spoil it, but to pull you into the movie, it's on HBO Max. So if you have HBO Max, definitely check it out. It's the story of Marguerite de Corix. Sorry, I'm terrible with French. Jodie Comer plays Marguerite, and she accuses Adam Driver of a heinous crime, which is rape. And the three different perspectives of her, Adam Driver, and Matt Damon, who plays Jodie Comer's husband, are shown. And it's incredible, because each time you've seen this movie, I've seen this movie 5 times already, you see something new in the way the story is presented, because in one version, Matt Damon may look like a hero, but in the other version, he looks like a coward. In the other version, he looks like an ice cold kind of guy who doesn't really care about his wife, just married her out of necessity and to basically just gain power. Adam Driver, who's very charming in one story, then in another story he's a monster, and the other story he's a hero. And then Comer should have. It blows my mind Comer wasn't nominated for this and got more awards. She apparently she killed it on Killing Eve, and everyone was saying, this is going to be her Oscar nomination. She's fantastic. And there's a really hard scene in the movie with the rape. That stuff is crazy, and she sells it, and it's very uncomfortable to watch. It is very uncomfortable to watch, but you also see it's more than that. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wrote the screenplay along with Nicole Hoffnecker, and you can feel Nicole's presence there, because through the story we see how little power women had. Like, they really were just born and made to make more babies, and they had no rights in society. And the risks and the stakes in this movie come from the fact that Jodie Comer, as I said, accuses Adam Driver of rape. If she is found guilty, she is killed. She's killed. It's like, that's the punishment for false witness. And Ben Affleck is the king who is on Driver's side. And, Ben Affleck is having a hell of a time in this role. And I think that this role is better suited for him than the one he wanted to play, which was Adam Driver's role. The king is this young man. He's not young, but he's the kind of king who abuses his power. He's like Simon Rex's character in Red Rocket. You hate him, but he's so goddamn charming. You can't hate him that much. And Affleck plays it up. He's fun in this role. He's funny. He's hilarious, and I really liked him in this movie. And I think he did a hell of a job. And Matt Damon was great too. But all the credit has to go to really Scott for juggling all these 3 perspectives. And each of these perspectives, as I said, has differences in the way it's filmed, the way it's directed, the way it's written, and they're subtle. And that's what makes this movie so goddamn good. I'm gonna watch it again. It's the rewatchability on this thing is incredible. It's interesting. It's absorbing. The recreation of the medieval era is pretty damn good. And yeah, that's I will go into it more when I write a full review and have a video review of this. But that is why The Burlesque Duel is my favorite movie of last year. And I think Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are teaming up for another movie they're writing together, and I hope it turns out because this one was a masterpiece in my opinion. It is the best film of the year. What do you think? Do you agree with my pick? Do you think I missed something? Let me know. Watch the videos, watch my video along with other videos. We're always updating videos, and Logan and Henry, I believe, did a review on The Outfit, and Bob and Logan did a review on the new Sonic movie, so definitely check that out. Anyway, that is it for this year. Last year, I should say. I hope next year brings, or this year, I should say, because we're almost 5 months. No, we are 5 months into the year. I'm really excited to see what this year brings, even though, we just started. Anyway, I am Kevin Muller from Cinephellas, and as we say on the site, cheers.